What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. This week we have Alex from FBA Boys. He runs a wholesale business. He's done over $20 million in sales, does about $4 million a year. And we're going to talk about wholesale, maybe what happened with the regating, get into all that stuff. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks guys for having me. I'm always happy to connect people in the industry and just try to provide as much value as I can to people listening because it's not an easy business. It's not an easy business. So thanks again for having me.
Yeah, so give us a little bit of an intro, kind of how you started
Yeah.
and how things look.
Yeah, so I have a kind of an interesting story. So I started Amazon in 2017. At the time, I was a sales rep for a distribution company, and I was working there for 2 years. So getting customers, I'm selling to retail stores, and I'm starting to get e-commerce customers at my job. And I'm piecing this together and saying, well, some guys that are buying from us are then selling it on Amazon. Why don't I do that? And it was kind of like a whole thing in my head. I'm like, all right, why am I sitting here for 15 bucks an hour, being a sales rep? Why don't I just open my own Amazon account and then make that jump eventually? So that's exactly what I did. I said one day I went up to my boss and I said, you know what, I'm done doing this. And it was funny because when I was leaving, he's like, what if we offered you $100,000 a year? And at that point, I was 22 years old, 21 years old. And I said, I'm done. Sorry, I'm done with this. I want to do Amazon. I'm done with this. And that was me leaving with like $1,000 in my pocket. And I started doing what I was kind of doing in the background, which was fixing iPhone 6s, fixing iPhone 7s, broken screens, buying them on Facebook Marketplace, flipping them back on eBay or flipping them back to Facebook Marketplace. And I started collecting all of these broken phones and driving across Jersey. And then it got to a point where Toys R Us was closing down. So I said, all right, let me swing by there. Let me start scanning stuff in Toys R Us that's closing down. Let me bring it back to my parents' garage and let me flip it. And then kind of 6 months into my Amazon journey, I reached out to my sales manager at my old job, who I was really good friends with. And I said, I'm doing this Amazon thing full time. And he goes to me like, oh, why aren't you buying from us? So I opened up an account with the distributor I used to work for. And, think about it. Now they would rather sell me the products than sell other people. So it was a huge leverage I had with that ability. And I always tell people that are like interested in the Amazon space, but maybe don't have capital or like maybe are 18, 19, 20, like, hey, like get a job at a distribution company, get the experience, understand how supply chain works and where distributors get products from and what that looks like, and then transition your way out of it. Because the amount of relationships I grasped from that job are people that I still deal with today. And it all stemmed from that job. Eventually, got to the point where my garage was filling up. My mom was annoyed, like, this is ridiculous. UPS is coming every day. The neighbors think we're, doing some sketchy operation. And she's like, you have to move out of here. And I was like, all right. So I go on Facebook Marketplace. This is a funny story too. I go on Facebook Marketplace. I'm looking for like subleasing of store of like warehouses, this and that. I come across a unit. It's a guy who's got 1,000 square feet. And I text the guy. I message him and say, hey, I know you're interested in subleasing half the space, 500 square feet. Like I'm open to looking at 500 square feet. It had a loading dock. It was like, this is perfect. And I get there and I end up taking half the space with this guy and I end up becoming good friends with this guy. And it actually turned into be my good friend, Dan, who's 1,000 ASINs on Instagram, which is crazy. Because I met him literally through Facebook Marketplace. And then we were in the same 1,000 square foot location for maybe 6-7 months. And then he's like, hey, I'm growing really quickly. I'm going to take the unit down the hall. And do you want to take the whole 1,000 square feet? And at the time, like 1,000 square feet was like $1,400 a month. Like it wasn't crazy. And that was very cheap for New Jersey at the time. And then just started slowly growing it from there. We ended up knocking the wall down to the unit next to us, got 2,000 square feet, started bringing in staff. Then eventually we've kind of landed to where we're at today, which is I split the unit with a buddy of mine. So it's 8,000 square feet total and it's 4 and 4. So that's kind of how we operate. And again, it's just slow growth, leveraging terms with distributors, leveraging lines of credit, leveraging small business loans. Like, we got really lucky because I don't think I would be where I'm at today because we got the EIDL loan during COVID.
Hmm.
So like, I'm 23 years old. I apply for this EIDL loan, and next thing you know, this huge sum of money drops in the bank. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then I had the power to buy inventory for more than 30 days because of that credit card restriction. So now I was able to circle so much more cash because I had a buffer. And that loan I pay off monthly, a very small amount for the next 30 years. But it totally changed the direction of my business. And I know a lot of these larger sellers capitalized on these type of loans. And that's why they were able to catapult so quickly, because this Amazon business, like, if you don't have a decent amount of cash to dump on inventory, it's very tricky. It's very tricky just keeping the lights on in this place, the amount of units we have to push. So that's kind of like a quick summary of my journey. And it's been crazy. And now we're kind of just figuring out ways to get more cash and managing the new things of placement fees and low inventory fees and getting attacked at all angles. But we're managing it. We're making it happen because I have a 5-year lease here, so I kind of have to make it happen.
Well, to circle on that, the capital situation, you have any good stories about like where you're over leveraged or something's going on there where you're nervous that you might not be able to pay off the loan or stuff like that? The reason I ask that too is because people love to hear the kind of the bad side of things that happen. And I feel like these over leveraged situations where you're like, what am I going to do back against the wall? People just love to hear that shit. So you have these moments like that.
All the time. There's been times where I'm like, literally, like, I call it throwing a Hail Mary. Like, literally every dollar is allocated to inventory. I got maybe $1,000 in my business bank account. I'm like, all right, we're going to swing it. Let's see how this turns out. And it's, trust me, you struggle sleeping at those times, but I'm like, all right, if Hail Mary, let's see if we can pull this one off. And we've done it. We've done it probably too many times, honestly. But that's the name of the game. Dump all I always tell people, oh, I'm cash poor, but I'm inventory rich. I don't have any cash. If you need to borrow $5,000, good luck. It's probably an inventory. But as we stop doing that, we've kind of been smarter in regards to kind of moving money out into like other vehicles, like, a mutual fund, or all my IRA stuff's all set up. So like, I know because I kind of run my business pretty lean in regards to like not a huge cushion. But I do have like stack in other funds and, that I can potentially pull if I needed to. But yeah, that's kind of because what's the money doing in the bank? Even if I could squeeze another 10 grand out, well, that's money that could be making more money. So, some people think it's crazy and it's out of control, but at the end of the day, you gotta run the Hail Mary, and then.
Is that what you recommend to people, or do you like? No, I know that. Like, I'm not saying that phrase that horribly. I mean, like, let's say somebody comes to you and they're in a situation where like they really need the money, and like maybe they are a more risk taking type of person. Like, what would you kind of tell them to do? Or is there like, let's make it let's say I'm in this situation. Like, what do you tell me?
It all depends on, one, how confident are you that you're going to make money on this inventory? Like, how you pretty much have to be bulletproof that you're not going to lose on this. And the way we would kind of do that is saying, all right, if I have this direct relationship with the brand and I'm only one of 5 sellers, like, and there's, a map price, or there's some stability, or I have some sort of edge, or there's a certain promotion going on at the end of the year where I can capitalize on it and maybe get a kickback from the brand if I'm working with the distributor. If we know set in stone that there is no way we're going to lose money on this or even break even, we'll take those things. But if you're just throwing money at a distributor that you don't know that's going to be profitable or not, you don't want to do that. You want to play with caution. You want to spread your money very wide in regards to inventory you're buying. Like the other day, we just bought one SKU. It's 50 grand of one SKU. Some people think that's risky, but I know that I'm getting top, like bottom line pricing because I've had that relationship and that communication with my rep. And it's a rep that I trust and that he's transparent, that I go golfing with, that I have dinner with. And I know he's not going to burn me because he knows if he does, then that's the end of that relationship. So it all comes down to kind of the conversations you're having with your rep, how confident you are that you're going to be able to move the inventory. Some of this one SKU that bought 50 grand with doesn't even have a keepograph. It's not even available. But I know that I'm getting a really bottom line price. Like, think about that as a Hail Mary. It's 50 grand with inventory. You look, it says keep is not available. So it all comes down to how close you are of getting to that brand and what that rep is kind of fighting for you with the brand, and knowing that, only a certain amount of people are going to be getting this inventory. So that's when you can kind of play that game. But if you're starting out, you have to walk with caution. You have to be buying 24, 36 units and go try to get 100 units in your store of just lower inventory. The goal is to have SKUs that make at least $100 a month and just go very wide. Some people, I see a lot of guys starting, they're buying 3,000 units of this one soap product. And I'm like, all right, you just spent all your money on this one product. You want mass exposure to the Amazon customers.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
So how do you, obviously you don't want to say it, but how did you almost come to spend 50 grand on something that doesn't have a keep a chart?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, huh? So it just comes down to the distributor being transparent about, hey, this is my cost. I need to mark it up at least 2%, or something like that. And then analyzing the payout currently, and knowing that it sells very quickly. And then, having the conversation, this conversation with this rep, I met him at a trade show. I had a conversation with him. I know there's a special, promotion going on with this brand. And, they're really, this is the best pricing all year, he was telling me. And I take his word for it. And yeah, of course, everything's kind of a risk. Someone could maybe have an even better relationship that I don't have that might bring the price down. But, we're buying that much volume in order to get the price that we're getting. And that's what a lot of people starting out are wondering. All right, why did I just get burned on this listing? It's one, you probably didn't buy enough volume. Two, you probably don't have a great relationship with your rep. And three, you just weren't analyzing the listing and your competitors properly.
You said you went golfing with one of your distributors. So I'm sure you take this as an extremely relationship-based thing. I'm always curious with the wholesale guys.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it. It seems like everybody has a different kind of strategy. Some people add value to the distributor. Some people, try to make a good relationship. Some people are just good sales guys. They can just work a deal. Is that kind of relationship fully your thing, or is it a value add? Because I know some guys I'll run PPC, I'll do this type of stuff, or do you do both?
It's all relationship. It's, hey, what are you doing Friday night? You want to go to, steakhouse, grab some steaks. I'm taking care of the bill. Towards the holidays right now, all of my distributors, all of my brands, I send them gifts. I send them, nice bottle of whiskey, nice bottle of wine. Just so, a big kind of thing is I'm big on Starbucks gift cards for some of these distributors. Because think about it. All right, they're going to go to Starbucks probably every day with that gift card. It's going to sit on their desk. They're going to be working. They're going to be thinking about, all right, Alex got me that gift card. What I wonder what he's doing. So it's kind of like a mental psychology thing where and everyone loves it because nobody really expects it. And, you give someone a gift card, $100 for Starbucks, it's going to be on their desk for a little bit, at least 10 times with the prices of Starbucks. But that's what it comes down to. Being kind of the first person they think about when some opportunity comes by, and being able to execute and be good for products. I had one distributor. I showed up to a trade show, and I've never met him before. We've been working for 2 years, and he gave me a giant hug. I've never met this guy. And he's like, "You are the fastest paying customer we've ever had." And it's small things like that where when I say, "Hey, I need to place this order of, 10 pallets," he's not asking for a deposit. He said, "All right, no problem. We'll get it for you." Like it's gotten to that point where he knows I'm good for it. And even if I wasn't good for it, I'd still take it. I'd figure out a way to take it. And that's kind of how I operate with these distributors and with these brands, and they appreciate those type of relationships.
Any new brands, or do you kind of, or new distributors, or do you stick with the ones you have?
We're pretty, it all comes down to a cash thing. Like we just need more money. But we're open to new distributors, but it just comes down to how much time you have in the day. A new distributor, maybe you'll stumble across at a trade show, where you're there already meeting with another distributor, or you have maybe a sales rep that you're meeting at a trade show that then introduces you to a brand and say, "Oh, this is my client, isn't that he was interested in XYZ product." Meanwhile, maybe XYZ product is, they tell people no Amazon sellers. But then I have the distributor rep kind of vouching for me, saying, he's good. And that helps as well. So having distributors that, because a brand is more likely to have a conversation about Amazon if they're talking to the distributor. And if the distributor is coming as like a recommendation, if I'm coming as a recommendation from the rep, the brand's more likely to have the conversation with me rather than just a hard cold call. You're going to get denied all day long. So it's kind of building out the relationships with certain reps and then kind of navigating what opportunities might pop up with that relationship and what relationships does that rep have.
What you got, John?
Yeah, that's super interesting. Were you affected by any of the gating or the hard gating?
Not really. I was surprised we weren't, honestly. I know like Neutrogena got clipped. CeraVe got clipped. Those are some of our good SKUs. But, at the end of the day, like, all right, we'll have to put it on Walmart. But I know some people that got stuck with like 20 grand worth of inventory. And now it's like, what do we do in that scenario? Does Walmart have enough traction to even support that? Is that 5 years worth of inventory on Walmart? Those are, I'm not going to lie, it's getting tricky. It used to be, Amazon used to be, in 2017, you sent stuff in. The supply chain didn't matter, and you sold it for a premium, and there was no placement, and you got paid. Now it's coming down to brand or authorized distributor and making sure all your paperwork is in a row. And even if it is, you're still going to get questioned. And then you're going to get hit with placement fees going in and low inventory fees going out. So it's becoming a business that is more kind of technical than it used to be. And I feel like I'm seeing a lot of people kind of dropping out of the Amazon space just because of this. At this point, like they're trying to clean house. They're trying to get rid of the people that are trying to make a side hustle out of it. And that's what I'm seeing going forward. I'm seeing now that Amazon sometimes requires an invoice of 100 units, not 10 units. Like I only bought 36 from the distributor. Now I'm stuck with this inventory because I don't have 100 units because the ranking is 150,000 in grocery. Like, I'm not going to buy 100 units for that high of a ranking. So it's becoming a different playing field, where we're seeing some of these larger guys scooping up more opportunities and kind of figuring out ways to do it while people just getting started. It's definitely doable, but you have to walk with caution in regards to how you're buying inventory, who you're buying inventory from, and how you're going to get the funding to make this all happen.
I think it's a good point. You're talking about the bigger guys kind of like eating up all the opportunity. I think that's what's going to happen. Like the more the strictness goes and all that stuff, it really just hurts the little guy. Because if you have millions of dollars in credit, you have an aged account, you have these relationships, like all this stuff. I mean, how much are you really going to be affected by this? You can always make it work. But if you have like 10K you have one distributor, something goes wrong. Now it's like, oh, your whole life's kind of ruined for a long time until you can figure it out.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to hear more and more stories like about that. People just getting wrecked, unfortunately.
And like I have conversations with some of the brands that I have. They would tell me like, oh my gosh, every day we get 10 calls about trying to open up a wholesale direct account. But like, like we're denying everyone. We don't want, they work with like a core group of maybe like 8 people, and I'm one of them. And it's just because I cold called them in 2017 or 2018, and they were like, yeah, we'll get you an account. So there is the platform's changing where, everyone's trying to get into this Amazon thing. They're thinking that they could just call up a brand and make something happen. And it's not the reality.
Wait, you repeat that again? Because I said on an earlier podcast that I bet these wholesale guys are so pissed off where they're like, we're getting 15 calls a day from these random people. Okay, they are. So that is true. Like these guys are getting hit up nonstop. Okay.
Yeah, because I talk to them. I tell them about like, we have some of these brands are even local to us in New Jersey. So I swing by and I say, oh, hey, how's everything going? And they're like, oh my gosh, the phone's off the hook all the time. Like of people trying to open up accounts. And
what's funny about that is, do you do coaching, like mentorship type stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would think like the advice you give people, like initially, maybe years ago, is like just call as many people as you can. Like one's going to hit. But nowadays, it's probably like you got to teach them how to speak to humans, which is a whole different type of coaching program altogether. Like you got to try to make them confident because they can't get on the phone and be like, okay, sorry for calling or whatever, and just hang up.
Yeah. And trust me, because when I was a sales rep, I'd get calls. And within 10 seconds, I knew if this person has been in business for years or this is his first call or maybe his 10th call. And when I would hear like, oh my gosh, this guy's like, amateur, boom, like, you don't even entertain it because as a sales rep, we're working on commission. We're going to be focusing on the guys that are going to be spending 100, 150, 200 grand a month with us as sales reps, not the guy throwing 500 bucks at us. It's a waste of our time. At the end of the day, what people don't understand is these sales reps, majority of them work on commission. They need to feed their families. And you calling about a $5,000 purchase order that you think is this huge number is pennies to them. It's pennies to them. We just sent over a PO to distributors come to almost 130 grand. It's like, he didn't even blink. It's like, all right, we'll get this, taken care of. It's not, no, nothing. It's just doing business. So my opinion to people that I talk to and I mentor is that you need to first go down the avenue of building out relationships with the distributor because it's going to be an easier account to land. Once you land that distributor account, you start building out the relationship with your rep. And again, this is a time frame of over a year. It doesn't just start clicking like that. And then you start having the conversation with the rep in regards to certain brands you're interested in to see if they can potentially help you and vouch for you and do those things. And that's kind of the framework in order to get to these brands. The handful of brand accounts that I've had all came through going from the distributor and going to the brand. And that is the path. Nobody is going to answer a cold call of you saying, hey, we're looking to buy this item. Unless you call them and say, hey, we're looking to place a 500K PO today. We're interested in this, and this. The majority of people don't have that ability. So that needs to be the approach if you're starting out. It has to be the path of the distributor, getting in good with the rep, and not only just a rep, but your ideal of who's the rep you're talking to at that company. Go on LinkedIn, see how long's that guy been working there? How much pull does this guy have? My goal is to talk with the sales manager. I don't want the sales rep. I want the sales manager on the phone. Because that's the guy ultimately pulling the strings. I want to become friends with the manager, not the sales rep that just joined the team 6 months ago. So understanding who you're talking to is important as well, not just only, all right, yeah, I'm great friends with the sales rep. Meanwhile, the sales rep just joined the team 3 months ago. What pull is he going to have for you there? It comes down to who are you actually working with? And that's important as well, because these guys that are higher up in the podium with these distributors have more pull.
I'm curious with have you been coaching for a long time, like mentoring people for a long time?
Like almost a year. Yeah. With Paul, my buddy, Paul.
Do you think that because like this is a long time frame type thing that you're doing, and you're not selling the 3-month dream. Like that's how most people sell it.
Oh,
Do you think that helps you, or does that hurt? Because people online just want to get rich quick, but you're like out front, like this is going to be long. You're going to have to like make friends with people. You think it helps you to say that up front?
No, people don't like that.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think so.
They're like, all right, chill guy coin it is. Let's run it. Like
so funny.
That's what it is. When I call these guys, like it's gonna take like 90 to 180 days to actually see traction. Like, oh my gosh. Or there's what's so crazy? They all want automation. Automation, just do it all for me. Do everything. Do my laundry too. Automate everything. Like, come on, like. And that's why those automation companies are so successful, is because people don't want to do anything, and it's funny. Paul and I, we have conversations with people and say, we have this protocol of what you need to go through and all of these, a certain number of accounts you need to contact and reach out. And, you really need to do so much outreach just to get one good account. And that's what it comes down to. And a lot of people are just, all right, I don't like talking on the phone. I don't want to dial the phone this many times. This is too many emails to send out. And I'm fortunate that I come from a cold calling sales background. I used to cold call at the age of 16. My first job was cold calling people for donations for like the New Jersey Fire Department. And I didn't even, I don't even know what fire department it was. There was just like, here's an auto dialing machine. Here's your script. Go. And when you talk to 1,000 people a day on the phone, you become better at selling yourself and selling these people for the donation, and it completely translates to your relationships and that intro first call and that first impression when you call a distributor and when you call a brand. And the tonality of the way you're speaking and everything like that. So like, it's kind of crazy to think that all of my previous jobs have kind of led up to where I'm at. And even after that donation place, I would cold calling people for term life insurance and whole life insurance policies, like random people. They're like, where did you get my number from? Well, are you interested in, this is the importance of term life policy, and that, people would hang up, but, so when I call someone and they say, oh, we're not opening up any Amazon accounts, one, I push back on them. I don't say, oh, well, all right, well, I'm just going to crawl to my room now. I have those objections. I'm able to push back a little bit. I'm totally used to people saying I'm not interested, because through 16 to 20, I worked cold calling jobs where that's all I got heard 99% of the time. And a lot of people nowadays are the fear of the rejection. And then, I got to make another call now and I'm going to get rejected again. When I was 16, I was getting rejected 900 times a day. So then calling someone and say, hey, I have money for you, is a lot of a different type of conversation. It's not like, hey, you want to make a donation today? And they're like, who the heck are you? Does this organization, does this donation organization even exist? It was like, it was just 16 riding my bike to this cold call center. And that's where it all stems from. So, learning those skills, people, I say like I'm old, but like people that are younger, 18, 19, 20, don't know how to communicate on the phone with a distributor, with a brand. They don't know how to have a proper adult conversation. And I don't know who to blame. Do I blame TikTok? I don't know. But, that's what it comes down to. Amazon is not just about buying and selling products. It's about selling yourself to these distributors and being able to build out relationships with the people that you're calling. That's what it is.
It's funny. I always hear people like the common thing on Twitter and Instagram. You've probably heard this: is first you do OA or you do RA, and then you go to OA, and then you go to wholesale, and then private label. And I'm like, I don't think you guys understand how this stuff works. Like I was a big OA seller. I did like $2 million a year, and then I just shut it all down. And people are like, why didn't you do wholesale? I'm like, you guys are idiots. Like, it doesn't just work. Like, wholesale is a completely different business than OA. Like, okay, I know how to read a kepograph, but I don't know how to make these relationships. Like, I didn't do that. I just sat behind my computer. And I don't know why people think that's a thing, like that it's a natural evolution. It's not. Or like, for example, a wholesale to private label. Yeah, you know how to run a warehouse. You know how to do that. But like, you don't know marketing. You don't know how to make a brand. So I don't understand where that thing gets there. But the more I talk to the wholesale guys, the more I think that, yeah, I'm vindicated in that. Like, obviously, it's not the same business.
Yeah, I never really did. Like, the only thing I did was like that Toys R Us run, but like I got early in with the company I used to work for, and I was just buying from them like a ton, and picking it up from them, bringing it back, and then they started delivering to my house. It just started running it like that. So I was very fortunate in that regards, because without that job, and I literally found that job on Indeed, and they said, "Do you have eBay experience?" I was like, "I sold on eBay when I was like 13, 14, 15. Like, I could probably sell this job." And I learned a ton about Amazon and e-commerce and distribution. I was like, I'm out of here. I got all the knowledge I need. So like, even though I was sitting there for $15 an hour, really I was getting paid a lot more because of everything I was learning.
Did you look at it like that then? Like, did you go to college?
No.
Oh, you were just probably pissed that you were in a bad job.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was going to college. I went to like a school in New Jersey. It was a commuter student. I was ready to drop out sophomore year, and my mom's like, "No, you're finished. I'm seeing a degree. Or you're not going to be living here." So I did that, but in the back, I'm in the back of my business communications class getting a D. Meanwhile, I'm just ripping kepographs. And I'm like, I could I'm pretty sure I can do better than you with business communications, buddy. Like, and it just drove me nuts, because the guy teaching the class never actually ran a business or anything like that. And that's a whole nother conversation about education and stuff like that. But it always rubbed me the wrong way.
All right, let's get into that then. We don't always just talk Amazon on here. I love getting into the other stuff.
This is a free for all. We can talk whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you a quick story though before you get into this, because I have the same type of thing. So I remember in college, I was in a business management course or something. And there was probably 12 kids in this class. It was really small. He points at me and he's like, "Hey, your beard is just not a good length. You either need to shave it or grow it out, or it's going to be really hard for you to get a job." And then a few years later, I was like, "Man, I could have employed that guy." How funny is that? That he's sitting there calling me out saying, "Your beard is just not professional enough." Like, embarrassing me in front of the class. I'm like, "All right, dude, like, what are you going to do about it?" Like, I don't know. Want me to shave? Like, I don't understand.
I just hate how much money it was for me to take. Like, I got to take a yoga class for like $4,000. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, to meet like the qualifications of graduating. Like, it's just a money grab. And, I get it if you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, and all that fun stuff. But the most I've ever learned about business was because I had jobs where I had mentors in those jobs, and, just had that hands-on experience. And that's where I've learned the most from, and that's how you really do it. Just this whole teaching. I went to a school where, if I hate to say it, but like, if you had a pulse, you got it. Like, it wasn't like a big requirement to get into this school. It was just like, all right, yeah, what's your GPA? It really doesn't matter. I got a 1,200 on my SATs out of 2,400. I could care less about it, because I was busy in high school flipping stuff on eBay. I was flipping stuff for friends, neighbors, flipping paintings and stuff, like figuring it out, and just doing it. And then it was funny. In my freshman year at college, I tried to launch a company that wasn't Amazon, and it totally flopped. I spent $10,000, didn't know how to market it, like did all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, all right, I'm going to do what I know, which is this Amazon thing, and give this a go. And did that, and now we're here.
Do you think there's any use of somebody going to business college? Like, do you see a use case in that at all?
Maybe if you're going to be like a JP Morgan analyst, maybe if you're going to be one of those guys at a big bank where they're kind of looking for those credentials, those masters, those Ivy League schools. My mom always wanted me to be like, oh, well, after you're done with college, maybe you'll get a job at JP Morgan or Merrill Lynch. And I'm like, that sounds really fun, commuting on a bus to the city. sitting in a cubicle. It's never been my style. And I've always been kind of the person that's like, all right, we'll figure it out, figure it out. Like I got a notification that my rent's going up like $2,000. And I said, I guess we're going to figure it out. Placement fees are, the shipment that's going out, placement fee is going to be $2,500. I guess we'll figure it out. Like and then the freight to get there, that's another $1,000. So like, it's just, things are always changing and always adapting. And as an entrepreneur, it's either you figure it out or you just quit and give up. There's times I'm here at the warehouse at 6 a.m. and times I leave at 11. So it just, my wife probably rolls her eyes, but it has to get done. At the end of the day, it's got to get done because I want to continue to grow the business. Need to do certain things in order to do that, even though all of these factors are kind of flying in.
Yep. I've got like so many of your Instagram ads. Like every day I get like one of your Instagram ads, and it's like hilarious. And then I was like, we have to have them on the podcast because yours are actually like what Drew was saying before. Like you're like, listen, like if you have like $10,000, like you're like right up front. You're not like, oh, like I was watching. Someone actually sent me one the other day, and they were just like, I'll build a business for you in 28 days. You'll be making $10,000. And like, I like used to know this person like pretty well. And I was like, I can't believe he's spewing this bullshit right now. And like, it was just like, oh my God. Like, I feel like today, like you'd be lucky if you could even get your account open on Amazon in 28 days. By the time you get the postcard and do all that other shit. You kind of want to talk about that? So for that, one, I like your honesty, and two, there was like another video you did, and I was like, damn, like Alex sold out. It was the one when you went to Marshall's. I was like, come on, another wholesaler in Marshall's, and he's like, you're like, oh man, these sneakers don't even have boxes. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? And I was like, all right, he didn't sell out. Like, that's totally cool.
That's a funny YouTube video because I was like, you know what? Let's go. I was with Paul. I was like, all right, we're free. Let's go in and Marshall's and try to find the profit. And then, it turned into like a comedy show.
I got to see this. Is this on your YouTube, did you say?
Yeah. You know what? I just posted a really funny reel like that you guys are going to love at like 3 o'clock today. Just with the whole like, Miami, this and that, selling Amazon, and it's, I'm sweating in the warehouse. I'm freezing in the warehouse. I'm, barely got time to eat. There's so much to get done. So like, it's funny what you see with that. So yeah, we have like a team that's running the ads and, I tell them, I'm like, I don't really want to say that, I'm like, you need a little more money. Like, if you have 50 cents, you're ready to, sell on Amazon. That's not reality,
So do you, well, I'm curious your close rate on your stuff. If you like, because if you're transparent in your ads, usually the close rate goes up, right?
Yeah. With the program and stuff, I would say it's harder to find people that actually have that $10,000.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more people closing on the offer that then, there's a lot of offers that say, oh, we'll get you business funding. The latest one I saw is the scholarship fund, but it's just like it's basically like a line of it's not a scholarship. It's like you're taking out a loan with a bank. It's not a scholarship. I was cracking up, like a scholarship fund. Like what, it's out of control. But it's hard nowadays. People are, paycheck to paycheck. People don't have $10,000 to put into inventory and stuff like that. It's easier to sell an online arbitrage course so we can start with $500. And that's just the reality. We are looking for more people that are already doing 50 to 100K a month and then figuring out a way of what they don't know, then why they're not getting to 300, 400, 500K a month. So there's a lot less people that are interested in our program just because of that. Some people call and say, I had $1,000. I said, we can't help. Sorry.
So you take no new people, or do you make exceptions at times, or what?
We will take new people if they have the cash and the funding behind them. because then we can kind of map out a plan for them. But we're very hesitant because we say straight ahead, like, this is a lot of work. Like, if you're not willing to put, the worst is saying, oh yeah, spend 2 hours a day to grow an Amazon business. Are you kidding me? Like, you're going to need to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at 12 if you have a 9 to 5, if you want to make this work. And that's why people like, what, meme coin it is, XRP to the moon. Like, that's what it comes down to. And it's the sad reality.
Funny enough, I've been trading coins for the last month. I stopped all business ventures as soon as Trump won, and I was like, I'm going all in on crypto trading. I was just talking to John about it earlier. Hitting like $50 into 5K. Yeah, dude, can't beat it.
Yeah, and that's what people want. It's hilarious, man. But I get it. Like, trust me, I'll throw $50 into one, whatever coin. But it's. That's the problem, because everything you see on Instagram is like instant gratification, instant results. Guy flying to, Dubai in the private jet. You're like, oh my gosh. And it's like, oh, is Amazon going to be the solution? No. Is crypto going to be the quicker way to get this? Like, yes, we're going to do crypto, all money in. And
oh wow, that's funny.
It is.
That's how I looked at it. I think we did an episode on it. I was like, I kind of want to, I went for a while to like, I want to build a big business. I want to do all this stuff. But then I'm like, you know what? I might as well try the crypto thing for 6 months. I've got enough cash to like, let it be.
Yeah.
If I can make millions of dollars really quick, then I'll be done forever. If I don't, then I'll just go back to doing what I was doing before. But I think some people are like, I'm in a problem situation, so I'm going to do this to get out of my problem. I'm just like, I'm going to do this to see if I can like skip the work in the future. Which I think, like, you look at it uniquely compared to like most people just throw their last dollar in there.
Yeah, I talked to my buddy Zach Sedano, who's big into like crypto, and he was telling me, "Oh, Solana." So I put money in, and it's working, it's going, it's doing it. But like, I'm just scared to like, throw the Hail Mary in crypto like I do in Amazon, because at least I know it's good chance of coming back. Like, some of these people are just, I saw like an SVJ coin. I was like, or a Bugatti coin. Like, I'm like getting pumped up. I'm like, is this really how you think you're going to make money and be able to buy a house and this and that? Like, it's just a crazy world. And then with TikTok Shop popping up, and I think a big opportunity right now for anyone starting is Walmart. Walmart is like, I'm like, wow, this is really easy. Just throw everything in a box, don't sticker anything, just ship it out the door. And there's no placement fees, and it goes to New Jersey FC. Doesn't sell as quickly, but your margin is a lot higher. Yeah.
Do you think you're going to move more into there in the future? We talked to a bunch of Walmart people, and I just don't see how it gets more volume like over time, which I did hear yesterday or a few days ago that Walmart's growing like exponentially in terms of revenue and all that stuff. Maybe that's wrong, but I don't see how the volume picks up there compared to Amazon.
So I was talking to my buddy who's big into Walmart. He was saying he had one SKU that was moving 50 units a day. And then he said he run some PPC. He ran like a flash deal, and it was like moving 200 units a day. So like, there are some SKUs out there that do rip, and he's doing over $1 million a year on Walmart. And I said, how the heck are you doing this? Because it just doesn't seem feasible. But if you start playing around with, think about it, if there's more margin on Walmart, then there's more room for ad spend. You can try to get more eyeballs. You don't even think about advertising on Amazon the way the margins are, unless you have a relationship with the brand and you can control the price. But it seems like Walmart is going to be a good avenue. Like, right now, it's generating probably $2,000 in profit a month, and we just started like 3 or 4 months ago. And it's consistent SKUs that we can get from a distributor. It's some SKUs that are not allowed to be sold on Amazon as well. So there's an outlet there. I'm telling a lot of people, even in our community, to say, hey, Walmart could be your leverage into certain brands. If you say, hey, these are going to go to Walmart, you start buying from them, then you start having the conversation. If you built out the relationship to talk about Amazon, that could be a nice funnel into getting on Amazon with these products. So getting in the door somehow, saying, all right, because a lot of these brands are like, yeah, it's just anywhere but Amazon. Find Walmart, run some sponsored PPC on it, and just kind of move it that way.
Yeah, I like that. I never even thought about that. Where there's more margin, there's more room for ad spend. Yeah. Would that be your goal in the future with it? Or, more of a general question. What's your goal like with all this stuff in the future? Do you plan on moving on to some private label, or is this like, I'm going to grow this thing till I'm, watch me Amazon or Amazon Lit or whatever?
I could never get big as Amazon Lit. That's just too stressful. It's too much overhead. The overhead on that's ridiculous. I would love to get to a point of, doing $1 million a month or doing that. I think Larry's got him in a very nice sweet spot of where he stands, where he can keep overhead fairly low for his size and pump those numbers. But, I've been talking to my wife who has a pharma background, and I'm thinking of like, right, why don't we try to come out with some private label product? Because, I was talking to my buddy Tone FBA. I was meeting up with him in Philly, and, he's talking about it, and it is exciting, because think about it. I couldn't sell my business. It's not like, yeah, here's some distributors here, give me some money. Like, it's not sellable. When you create a product or a brand, one, it's exciting because it's yours. And two, there's possibility of an exit on that. So again, it's going to cost a lot of money too. So it's like, all right, am I willing to throw up 25 grand in the air to see if something sticks? Or am I going to be able to run enough PPC where I'll at least break even? Like, these are the type of conversations I think about. But I do have some relationships that are in the manufacturing, that are already in the industry with that stuff. So, I'm thinking of reaching out to them and just using my, again, connections and relationships. So then if I want to go form this path, I can try to figure it out. But, it's a whole new project of starting from zero.
Yep.
Do you continue growing your wholesale business and doing that stuff, or do you venture out and take time away from your wholesale business to start doing other things?
You should watch. We just did an episode with Steve Roll. He does like 40 million a year private label. Highly recommend you watch that episode because he talks about like the future of Amazon and like private label stuff, and it was pretty motivating. And that guy's like the real deal too. But that helped.
My laptop's gonna die. I gotta.
You go ahead, John. You ask your stuff.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say now.
Sorry, I interrupted.
I feel like if I could go back in time, I'd probably start with private label because I poured like 5 years into Amazon, right? I don't have a sellable business. I don't really have like equity. Like, I don't know. It's just not as exciting. And I think it's just almost like one of those myths of like selling on Amazon. Like, everyone likes to think like they're going to be the person that like their business sells or something like that. Or another like funny thing that like I might do a YouTube video on it, but like you were talking about the coaching before, it's like people just don't like do the math. Like, I don't know how much your mentorship costs, but I know like the going rate for OA is anywhere from like $2 to $4 grand. So you're going to give someone $2 or $4 grand, and then they're going to be like, oh yeah, they promise that you're going to make 10. You think you're going to make 10, but that's $10,000 in Amazon sales, which probably equates to you like $1,000. And to even get to that $10,000, you're gonna have to spend like $5,000 or $6,000. And like before you know it, like you're in 10 grand and maybe got 1,000 out of it, and you're like, what just happened? And it's just I don't know. It's just so ridiculous at this point.
And you're scraping up Kohl's cash to pay your bills, at that point.
Exactly.
Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But a lot of these guys would say, all right, yeah, do OA and, we'll get you financing for the program and we'll finance you 36 months out with 15% interest and, you'll be making $10,000 a month. It's crazy.
That's like the new pitch. It's like, oh, if you have a 700 credit score, we can get you like 30, 40 grand. It's on like, 0% APR. I can't tell you how many people DM me after this Nike gating, like they're 50, 60, 100K worth of inventory, just like stuck. Or like it's just really funny. Like, I think like I don't know if they're like, I'm older, obviously, maybe because they're younger, they think it's cool, but like there are people be like, yeah, like I'm so rich, like, top cash back is paying for my groceries. And it's like, you were so rich, like, why would you even need, it's just like so backwards. It's like, we're like, oh, I live off of credit card points and cash back. It's like, yeah, that's not really a business. Like, so are you saying like you're break even? It just makes no sense to me. Like, the math doesn't math. And I think as we go on and people get like more smarter, to hear you talking and be like, yo, you need like 10 grand, dude. And like, maybe they do go to someone who said like they need 500 and just lose all their money that way. But like, I think this is like one of those times where like, if you're on the right side of the Amazon game and like actually tell it like it is, like you'll be fine like into the future, and everyone's gonna go to you versus like getting ripped off by all these other people.
Yeah, it's just people don't understand that this is a cash intensive business. And that's why, that's why people get caught up in doing all these things and just fine. Oh, all right, I'm going to get a loan for 50K to jumpstart the business. I'll turn the 50K to 100K. It's not reality. Like we're working on 15% gross margins here, and that's good. And, after all said and done, it's very tight. So people need to understand that it's not this huge, oh, you'll make $10,000 a month. It's, yeah, you'll make $1,000.
I think you talked a little bit earlier about the Amazon lit thing. Like, I don't want to be as big as him. I think that's something that people should probably do is like, and I've tried to do this recently, like put yourself in the ideal situation. If all things succeed, right? Let's say that you start this and it goes as well as possible. Will you be happier then or like more stressed out then? And I came to the same conclusion with Amazon. I would see the guys that were $5 million, $10 million a year in OA. And I was like, dude, I would die of stress if I did that. Okay, so if all this goes as well as it can, I'm going to be sad. Like we got to find some other direction here. I think that's a little filter people can put to when they're like going to do something new. Like if it all works out, how will it be then?
Yeah, it's not all about building a business that does the most in revenue. It's where you feel comfortable and what's maintainable. And, do you want a team of 10 buyers? Like that's crazy. For me, thinking about it, like think about all the payroll, all the staff you have to do. God forbid if there's an issue with the Amazon account, we just pay off all buyers, shut down the warehouse, and pay rent for the month. I wouldn't want to get it to that level. I think the happy median is Larry. He's in a great spot, and that's kind of the goal.
What else you got, John?
Yeah, are you like kind of nervous about Amazon? Are you bullish on Amazon, or what do you kind of think the future is?
I think a lot of people are dropping off when I hear that, I think there's going to be opportunity. I just think it's going to need to be more like a business rather than a side hustle in regards to, buying decisions. And, Paul just came out with a software that really is calculating everything. So when you're generating a purchase order, and let's say it takes a week for you to generate, pricing is adjusting on that working PO to make sure, all right, before I submit this, am I submitting anything bad? Understanding all the data. So it's coming to very heavy data based business, staying on top of your restocking. And it's not a side hustle and easy game anymore. It is what it is. It's just not like that anymore.
Makes a lot of sense.
Anything else? Been here for a little bit. I know we got you outside in the warehouse now. So
yeah, I know. I feel bad. I mean, the laptop's losing.
It's all good. Any advice you'd want to leave the listeners with if they want to get into wholesale or just Amazon in general?
Yeah, so I would say if you're going to get into wholesale, one, have the cash behind you, have a good credit score to be able to use credit cards, but use them in an intelligent way. And then build out relationships with your local distributors. My whole business has been built off of local guys because I've been able to swing by the place, shake some hands, drop a coffee off, go play golf. Like it's harder to build out a relationship that's across the country. And there's just something to be said about that. So, there's a reason why I live in New Jersey and I'm not moving, because I have a whole system around here, all people around here that help my business continue to grow. So that would be my kind of 2 cents.
Awesome.
Cool deal. Where can people find you?
FBA Boys on Instagram. That's mainly where I'm at. You can always shoot me a DM or anything like that. And, happy to have a conversation with anyone.
Sweet.
Cool
Good
deal.
pod, man.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks for being here. Peace out, guys. Like, subscribe, go follow Alex, and we'll see you in the
Appreciate
next
you
one.
guys. Take it
Peace.
easy. Bye.